Hi everyone, welcome to another Subject Matters opera for kids. This week we're going to do a brand new story, a brand new opera. This opera was written by Mozart. Maybe you've heard of him. He wrote a lot of music, but he also wrote a lot of operas. And one of the operas he wrote is called The Magic Flute. And it's one of my favorites. So this week, I'm going to read the story so that you can get familiar with the characters and the story and everything like that. Next week, what we're going to do is we're going to listen to some of the songs from the opera. So I want you to think, I have a little assignment for you. So when you're listening to the story and you meet all the new characters, I want you to think in your head, what kind of song would they sing? Or what kind of voice would they have? Would they sing really high and really fast? Or would they sing really low or slow? Or maybe they would sing high and slow or low and fast. I don't know. That is something I want you to think about when you think about the characters in the story. What kind of song would they sing? And next week, we're going to listen to them and we'll see if you were right. Pardon me. So, here's the story of the magic flute. Once upon a time, in a fantasy land somewhere between the moon and the sun, a handsome prince is running hard. Hot in pursuit is a slithering serpent. Prince Tamino is frightened. I cannot fight off this poisonous monster, he cries in the darkness. Oh, save me, rescue me, he whimpers, and promptly faints from fear. Lucky for our handsome prince, 3 mysterious ladies appear out of the darkness. It's obvious they must have some kind of magic. They speak as in one in a high, shrill voice and command the serpent to die. Suddenly, the serpent can slither no more. What a handsome youth, the ladies agree, each wishing they could keep them for themselves. But the ladies serve a stern queen, and deep down they know they must go and tell her the news. They leave the prince in the woods alone to wake and wonder, where am I? Am I alive? But he's not alone for long. Out of the darkness, a strange feathered feature appears, lugging a big bird cage and singing cheerily to himself. I'm Papageno, that's my name, and catching birds, well, that's my game. Tamino is curious. Hey, you there, tell me, friend, what are you? A bird? No, Papageno replies, I'm a bird catcher. Our feather friend is not very brave, but likes to pretend that he is big and strong, and when he spies the dead serpent, he sees his chance. He wants the credit for killing the beast. But just as Papageno begins to boast, the ladies reappear, and they punish Papageno for his silly lies by padlocking his mouth shut. Ouch. But the ladies have a more important mission. They show Prince Tamino a portrait of a maiden. It is the prettiest maiden the prince had ever seen. He is instantly charmed. Is this love I feel? Prince Tamino, the first lady cries, interrupting his daydreams. You have to know that the beautiful Pamina was kidnapped by the evil wizard Sarastro. Destiny commands that you must save her. Prince Tamino doesn't exactly need convincing, but before he can set out on his quest, there is a flurry of glittering stars and a rumble of thunder, and out of the darkness flies the Queen of the Night, the beautiful, powerful boss of the three ladies that we've already met. She sings a sad tale of her beautiful daughter and her daughter's evil captor, Sarastro. She begs Prince Tamino to set out on a quest to save her daughter. The quest. Tamino sets off with the reluctant Papageno, determined to save Pamina from Sarastro's clutches. But before they have gone very far, the ladies reappear bearing gifts from the grateful Queen of the Night. For Prince Tamino, they bring a magic flute and promise its secret powers will protect him in all dark hours. For Papageno, they bring silver bells and promise that when played, they will cast enchanting spells. Look at that flute. But how are we to find our way? Asked Papageno nervously. The ladies have thought of that also. They ask 3 white spirits to guide them on their journey. Well, the unlikely pair set off through the forest, each going their own way, in search for Pamina. Nearby, a beautiful maiden is running through the darkness away from the ugliest creature you had ever seen. Pamina is fleeing from Sarastro's mean and miserable slave, Monostatos. But she is brave and defiant, but Monostatos and his men capture her and chain her and bind the beautiful Pamina. With his uncanny knack to be in the right place at the right time, it is just at this moment that Papageno shows up, and he frightens the cowardly Monostatos right out of his skin. But the slave's hooked nose and spiked shoulders scare our feathered friend too, and they both cry out, "Boo! It's a monster! Don't hurt me! Don't look at me!" And Monostatos runs away, and Pamina wakes to find Papageno looking at her rather closely. "You look an awful lot like the girl in the picture. Let's see. Dark hair, check. Brown eyes, check. Red lips, very red. Everything fits." Pamina looks at the picture. "Yes, that's me," she says, thoroughly confused. "Where did you get it?" Only too happy to have an audience, Papageno settles into his tale of the handsome Prince Tamino, who loves the girl in the picture, and the starry Queen of the Night, who commands him to rescue her. And Pamina is smitten when she hears. You know what smitten means? Smitten means she really likes him too. When she hears of the brave prince on his way to rescue her. And the two run away as Monostatos comes skulking back. The temple. Meanwhile, our hero, Tamino, found his way to the temple of Sarastro. He's determined to find and kill the evil Sarastro. All villains deserve to die. "What are you upset about?" comes a voice through the gate. Prince Tamino tells the speaker all about the Queen of the Night, her kidnapped daughter, and the evil Sarastro. But the speaker is horrified. "The vengeful queen has made you blind," he he exclaims. What? He tells Tamino the real story. The queen is bent on revenge after Sarastro foiled her plans to plunge the world into darkness by stealing the magical disk of the sun. Tamino is stuck. It is now obvious the queen was lying. But what about the kidnapped Pamina? He still loves the pretty girl from the portrait, and he has sworn to save her. There is only one thing to be done. He must join Sarastro's brotherhood, and if he has any hopes of finding his princess. Meanwhile, in the forest, Papageno and Pamina are hiding from Monostatos and tiptoeing and whispering in the dark. If they catch us, we're doomed. So, comes a voice through the dark. You thought you could escape. Monostatos has caught up to them, bringing chains and ropes. And Pamina despairs, but Papageno decides to try out his silver bells. As they tinkle through the air, Monostatos feels a strange sensation. It's music of joy and laughter, and he's filled with a sudden urge to dance. Tra-la-la-la-la-la-la-la, I'm whirling, I'm twirling. He looks pretty silly, but things are about to get worse for the miserable Monostatos. In the hall, in a hail of trumpets, the great priest Sarastro arrives with Prince Tamino. Monostatos snivels at his master's feet, fawning and accusing Papageno and Tamino of all kinds of crimes. But the wise Sarastro isn't fooled and promises Monostatos a punishment that he will remember. Well, the story isn't over yet. Our lovers are yet to be united, and Papageno still wants a wife. But it's not going to be easy. Sarastro tells Tamino and Papageno they must go through trials if they want to find true love. The trial by fire will test your courage. The trial by water will test your endurance. If you pass these tests, you will then be worthy to join us, he intones in a deep voice. The pair are thrust into deep darkness, and Papageno is afraid. Papageno, be a man, says the brave prince. Forget it, Papageno replies. I'm a chicken. Our fearful feathered friend is about to be put to the test. A priest tells Papageno that he must be silent if he wants to meet a pretty wife, a maiden just like him, down to the very last feather. And it is very tricky for the chatterbox, but it's even worse for Prince Tamino. When Pamina finally finds him in the temple, she declares her love, but Prince Tamino has to be silent. How torturous for the prince and for poor Pamina, who doesn't understand. Sarastro calms her fears, and the lovers will be united. But first, they must be proved worthy. Prince Tamino and Pamina go hand in hand through blazing fire and raging waves. But miraculously, they emerge unharmed. How do you think that happened? Do you remember what was given to him? A magic flute. Oh, look at that. The secret powers of the magic flute have kept them safe. The end. It's time to leave this strange fantasy world, but before we depart, we must know what happened to Papageno, Monostatos, and the Queen of the Night. Well, guess what? Papageno he meets an old lady, and the old lady kind of teaches him a lesson, because eventually the old lady turns into the beautiful Papagena, who's like a bird woman. And the beastly Monostatos joins forces with the Queen of the Night, and they had tried to attack the temple, but they are driven back by Sarastro's light. And we'll leave you with these words now. Our story is at an end. So courage has triumphed and true love is crowned. The world will now brighten. Let wisdom resound. And this story of the magic flute, these are pictures from the opera that the Sydney Opera House in Australia put on. So these were the characters and the singers, and somebody just took pictures of them. And then somebody also, too, at the Australia Opera wrote this story for kids. So that's kind of cool. The Australian Opera House, or the Australian Opera, their website has tons and tons of neat activities for families and even for kids. So that's a kind of a neat website to go to. And that is the story of the magic flute. Now, sometimes in the story, did you hear me say that, he said in a deep voice, or maybe in a shrill voice? Those might have been clues of how those songs are sung. But we will find out next week what they really sound like. So have a good week, and we'll see you next time. Bye.